So AAA, what does AAA provide us? AAA is actually going to provide us, as I mentioned, the ability to book air, domestic and international. They have after call hours for help if you're traveling and for some reason you're down in Atlanta when the power goes out over the weekend. Call AAA and they will help you get rebooked. They will help us book car and hotel. They will help us with voiding tickets, cancellation of tickets and getting refunds. And all this comes with some small fees. But what AAA actually provides to us is one of the biggest things is unused ticket management. So a lot of areas where companies lose or unused money is for unused tickets. So if you book a flight and for whatever business reason, and for whatever reason something changes and you can't use that ticket, well, that ticket is still in your name, but it's going unused. And typically, depending on the carrier, you have about a year to use that unused ticket. AAA will help us book and use those unused tickets to get the most out of that money that we already spent. Other things that AAA will be providing to us and has provided is some strategic program reviews. So they will take a look and see, our booking patterns, whether we're, staying at a specific hotel more often than not, to where maybe we can call that hotel up and get some better rates. Take a look at if we're booking within a 2-week time frame, or if we're booking far enough in advance to take advantage of lower fares. They've also helped us enroll in corporate loyalty programs. So while the traveler will get their Delta Sky miles or the American miles, whatever miles or programs that they're part of, Gardens Alive, for every time we book, we'll also get those points as well to use for future vouchers and discounts. Any questions so far on AAA? Okay. So I'm going to jump right into Concur. So I'm going to switch over here and switch over to our Concur solution. First, I'm going to log out. So when you go to log into Concur, you will go into concursolutions.com, which I'll send all this in an email with usernames and how to get your passwords. But the web address is concursolutions.com. You'll put in your username and your password, and you'll click sign in. When you sign in, you're going to come straight to our Concur homepage. The Concur homepage has a lot of information on it. Over here on the left-hand side is where we would start to book any type of travel, similar to any type of travel website where you've got your mode of transportation, whether it's train or air, a car rental, a hotel rental, things of that nature. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Other areas on this homepage to take note of is company notes. This is where we can put company notes for people, that way they can stay informed. So right now what we have on here is information for AAA and the Concur Help User Desk. AAA has provided us with their online support desk, phone numbers to call, the domestic desk if you need to book some complex travel for domestic or international, and provided us with some Concur travel user guides, things of that nature to help you along as we get used to using Concur. The other areas are my task. So depending on if you're an expense approver or you're just a user, here I have a section where I have required approval. So this is where if one of my employees that I'm responsible for approving expense reports, I can go in here and it'll tell me I have X number of expense reports to approve. Shows any type of open reports that myself personally have open, and then also available expenses that'll be that we'll get into in a little bit. I'll show you how this stuff comes into that queue to help you guys do your expense reports a little easier. So the first thing we're going to jump into, and this is the first thing that you're going to want to do when you sign in, is go into your profile. We've set up users based on this past year of people who have submitted expense reports, whether it's for just mileage, whether they've traveled, things of that nature. So if you're on this call and you were invited, you were set up as a user, and it just meant that you had submitted an expense report over the past year. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to click on personal information, which is the top of our profile. And you're going to go through, starting at the top, you're going to go through and verify your name, your middle name, and your last name. One thing you're going to want to note that if you're going to be booking travel and booking travel through Concur, which is going to be recommended that you do, we need to make sure that whatever your middle name or initial is on your license or passport is correctly here in Concur. If it's not, please send myself or Jason Randolph a note saying, hey, please update my first name, my middle name, or spelling of the last name. Because as you can see, you cannot modify any of the name fields. The next section is just basically company information. Nothing to really do here. It's just your employee ID and your manager that is going to be approving your expense reports. If you notice that the manager is incorrect, who should be approving your expense reports, again, send us a note and we'll get that corrected. Work address. You want to select a work address if it's not already been selected for you. There's a drop down that should have the various locations for Gardens Alive. If you do not see one, which we may have missed, please let me know, and I will add that as a list item. That way, going forward, somebody can select that address. If it's not there, just simply type in your street name, city, state, and postal code. While not required, Concur for your profile is asking for your home address. This is more for emergency purposes. That way, for whatever reason, somebody needs to get a hold of you from the carrier, the travel agency, they at least have your home address on file. Your contact information. This stuff is required, the two fields. You put your work phone and extension. This is my cell number. And again, this is that way the carrier and or AAA have your information to contact you just in case anything changes with any of your bookings. The next section that is in this profile is email addresses. And it's asking for at least one email address. And what this email address is going to do and allow you to do is to send email to Concur with any pictures of your receipts. It'll allow you to, from a mobile device, if you have that email address on your mobile device, to take a picture of your receipt and send pictures into Concur. So what you're going to do, and let me start this one over here, is you can have, I think it's up to 3 email addresses within this email address section on your profile. The first email address that I would, hold on, went dark. There we go. The first email address I would suggest that you have is your Gardens Alive or Bits and Pieces or whatever your work email address is. But if you need to add a new email address, you're going to click Add an Email Address. And you're going to enter the email. You can select it as whether you want it to be a contact for your travel notifications. I say no. I only want this extra email because I do not have my gardensalive.com email on my phone, but I have my personal email address on my phone. So if I'm traveling, I want to be able to take a picture and send that picture to Concur. What you're going to do is you're going to hit OK. And by hitting OK, what it's going to do is it's going to send you an email with a verification code. You're going to click Verify. And you're going to basically copy and paste that code and hit OK. Once you've verified your email, the verification status will read verified. And from here on out, you'll be able to use Concur Mobile, which is a mobile tool that I'll share here in a little bit. Expense It, which is another mobile tool, and then also to be able to just simply send pictures of receipts from your email address to Concur, and then it'll be available for you to start an expense report. It's asking for emergency contact. Again, not required, but again, if something should happen while I'm traveling and AAA has the information, they can immediately send information or get a hold of my emergency contact. The next section is travel preferences. This is pretty straightforward. Air travel preferences, hotel preferences, car rental preferences, etc. Frequent traveler programs. This is where you can add your frequent traveler program. So right now I have my Delta SkyMiles program in my profile. So that way when I book any travel with Delta, I'll get my SkyMiles. And also, like I mentioned earlier, the company will also get their bonus miles or their SkyMiles because we're part of the corporate program. So if you needed to add a program, simply add a program. Select the type of program that you're wanting to add. So here, this is selected for air, car, and you also have hotel. All you're going to do is simply select the chain that you're wanting to add and putting in your frequent flyer or your guest number. And you're just going to hit save. And now I have Marriott added as a reward program. The other section is any advantage programs for travel discounts. Don't see too many of these too often, but again, it's the same type of process, add a program. Also under your profile is where it'll list any unused tickets if you have any unused tickets. Again, this is where AAA will help us out tremendously with managing and making sure that we're not spending money when we have unused tickets to be utilized. TSA secure flight. This is some of these things are required. Again, these will go on boarding passes and things of that nature. So this is where you can put your date of birth, select whether you're male or female, if you're TSA pre-approved, things of that nature. You can put those pieces of information in. That way it prints on your boarding passes. If you're an international traveler, you can input your passport or any visas. I put my passport information in just in case, if I ever needed to travel internationally, I don't have to worry about that information and having to pass that through to the carrier before I get on the flight. Assistance and travel arrangers. We currently do not have any assistants or travel arrangers, so this area is pretty much left blank. And then lastly, credit cards. This is where you're going to add a personal card. Because the only way to purchase anything through Concur, whether it's a flight, hotel booking, or car booking, you have to have a credit card on file. This credit card that I have right here is my GA corporate card, but you can have as many cards as you'd like in Concur. It's just as simple as, again, select add a credit card, put in the pertinent information, and hit save. And then that card will be available for you to use when you go to book travel. And once you're done with all that, you're going to hit save. Any questions so far on the profile? This is important information that before you even get started, even thinking about doing an expense report, you need to make sure we have on file and in there correctly, especially the names, because again, those things print on boarding passes. Okay. The next section that's highly important, you will not get reimbursed unless this is put into the system, is bank information. One of the things that is moving into Concur, will no longer be cutting paper checks. Everything will be done electronically through electronic payments and ACHs. So you're going to click on bank information under the expense settings section, and you're going to put in a routing and bank account that you want your travel and entertainment to go to when you get paid. So you're just going to fill the form out. Anything with the red bold line on the left-hand side of the field is a required field. When you do that, you're going to hit save and agree, and it's going to basically put out there that it's going to confirm your account. It basically will send something to your bank to make sure that, yes, this is your bank account. It's going to take into account your name, your address, and everything, and just verify that this is a valid bank account. That takes between 1 and 2 business days. So when you go to submit an expense report, if you haven't done this step already, it's going to say you can't submit the expense report because you haven't set your bank up, or your bank has not confirmed the account. So before you start submitting expense reports, go to Profile, Bank Information, look down here at this account history, and if you see the confirmed message, then you're ready to go and you're ready to start doing expense reports. Any questions? Okay. Expense information. This is just information from an accounting standpoint. Kind of tells us what employee group that you belong to, your reimbursement currency, what department that you're being coded to, and what brand or location that you're being coded to. You can go in here, go ahead and verify that the department and the location and brand are accurate for you. And again, if there's any changes that need to be made, send myself or Jason an email letting us know that something's not quite right, and we'll get it updated. Expense preferences. This is where you can select various options on when you get an email. So you can get emails at any point in time as transactions are flowing through the system, or as your expense report's flowing through the system. So you can get an email when, if you're submitted for a cash advance, it'll tell you that your status has changed. If you're a company card holder that has the company card tied to your profile, you can get that email sent to you. You can get an email when an expense report is submitted for approval, so on and so forth. So this is all based on preference. So, if you don't want emails all the time for various reasons, just uncheck it and you won't get an email. This just shows, again, who my approver is, which is Laura. Company car, we don't really have company cars per se in the terms of what Concur uses the company car function for, so we don't have that option here. Favorite attendees, we'll get into that here in just a little bit. This is for invoice, so this is something completely separate from travel and entertainment. The next thing I want to highlight that you're going to want to select and activate is your e-receipt activation. When you click on this, it'll give you an option to opt in for e-receipts. So what is an e-receipt? An e-receipt is what you'll get from various carriers, and whether it's a hotel, Delta, airline carrier, things of that nature, where when you book, it'll send you an electronic receipt instead of having to hold onto a piece of paper. This has to be done individually for whatever reason. I've asked that question a couple of times, but each individual has to opt in on their own, under their own profile, in order to activate the e-receipt functionality. But this definitely comes in handy as you're booking travel and again, trying to keep the paper to a minimum. System settings. Nothing really here. This just kind of tells you where you're at, your regional settings, your calendar settings. Here's some other email notifications. Again, if you want to be sent an email on every time anything happens within your profile, just select them all. If you don't, uncheck them. Any questions? Okay. The next area that you're going to want to use is Concur Mobile.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
How do we change the brand if we're somebody who normally works on one brand, but now we're doing something that's outside of our brand and that needs to be changed on the expense?
Yep, I'll get to that when we get into doing expense reports. There is definitely functionality that you can allocate to just that scenario you just provided, where my home department or my home brand is A, but I'm doing something for brand B. Yes, we can. I'll be showing you that here in just a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Concur Mobile is one of the mobile tools that Concur offers. And I'll get into Concur Mobile here in just a little bit, but this is here where you can actually register, where you can have them send you a link to either your email address or text to be able to download the app, or you can download the app through Apple, Google, Windows phones, whatever device and whatever app store that your mobile device uses. But we'll get into that here in just a little bit as well. There's no more questions on profile. I'm going to move on to the meat and gut of the presentation, which is how to book travel, and then we'll end up with how to book or how to submit and do your expense reports. So any other questions on the profile settings? Again, this is very important, one of the first things you'll want to do. And in my welcome email that I'll send after this call, it'll basically state, go through your profile first. Okay. So let's go through booking travel. A couple different ways you can start by clicking on the Concur Home site right here. You've got this section right here where you can start booking travel, or you can click on the, click on the tab up above called Travel. And it'll bring you pretty much to the same spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to book some air travel. And again, it's going to be similar to a lot of travel sites that you've seen, but I just want to kind of go over it and kind of show you a couple things where we kind of put some exception reporting into place. That way we can hopefully save a little bit of money by having this this program and this platform. So I'm going to go from CVG to DFW. So you're going to put your departure date, the time, plus or minus 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever you want the system kind of go out to go find from a flight option perspective. You can, at this point in time, you can say, you know what, I also want to get a car and I want to get a hotel. You can kind of do it all at once. That way it kind of knows what you're wanting to do. But for right now, I just want to do everything kind of separately so I can show a few things. The default search by is by price, but you could also change the search by schedule. If you're flying Air Canada and you have a promotional code, you can do it there that way as well. We have it defaulted right now to only search for flights without double connections. It will give you at least one connection though if there is a cheaper flight. You can also select refundable fares. So if you know 100% certain that you're going to be going from Cincinnati to Dallas and there's no way that you're not going to go make that travel, you can click refundable fares and get a cheaper fare. But right now we're just doing, we have non-refundable fares. So we're going to click search. It's going to go out and give us our options. So for right now, we've got Delta and American and United. We have no nonstop flights for Delta available for this time frame. We've got a couple for American, one stop. We've got a bunch of options. Let me see here. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick the flight that you want, based on either by price, or again, you can flip it to by schedule if schedule is more important than price at that time. Either one, you're going to hit select. And that'll select your outbound. Oh, I'm sorry. This one didn't do that. That was by price. Go back. If you're doing it by price, it already gave you your inbound and your outbound. But if you're shopping by schedule, it'll do your departure and your return. So either way, it's similar to most of your travel sites out there. But what I wanted to try to find is, and actually these are actually not too bad of a flight. They don't have a big range. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change my my departure time. Change search. Let's do. What I want to try to illustrate is where we've got a large range of price to where we put an exception into the system that will basically say, if you're booking something that's $100 higher than the lowest cost flight, it's going to throw out an exception. It's not going to stop you from booking the flight, but what it'll do is it will just flag it for us to track. It'll make you provide a reason. So let me try to find a flight that, or a search that'll give me that range. All right, here we go. So, sorry. So as we can see here with American, we've got a flight, 40 results that have a flight price of $833. But we also have Delta and United that are considerably higher. So if we hover over this little yellow kind of caution sign, anytime you see a yellow caution sign, it means there's an exception. It's a soft exception, meaning it's not going to stop you from doing anything, but it's an exception basically that's saying that if you select this option, it breaks one or more of our travel rules, which is, in this case, airfare is greater than the least cost logical fare plus $100. So if we go to, say you know what, I have to book this flight, I'm going to click on it. When I click on it, it's going to say, okay, travel policy violation. It's going to ask you to choose a reason why. You know, maybe it's schedule, maybe it's, you know, whatever your reason. Maybe you don't like that carrier. You've had issues with that carrier and you don't want to fly Delta, or you don't want to fly United, but you want to fly Delta. And then you can sit there in free text, you know, this is why. Once you hit save, it'll move you on to the next step in booking your travel, which we're going to hit save. And it's going to basically bring us here to basically review and reserve our flight. It says we're going to our departure dates and times and our return times. As you can see, it's actually picked up my Delta Sky Miles from my profile. If you wanted to view the seat map and select a seat, you can do that as well. And then lastly, it's going to ask for your method of payment. So if you have multiple credit cards in here, you'll select the credit card that you want to use. And then you'll click reserve and continue. I'm not going to do that because this is a live system and I would have gone out and purchased a $2,300 ticket to San Francisco for the Christmas, but I don't want to do that. So we're going to hit back. So that's airfare. Say we wanted to book a car. There's a couple exceptions within car based on the size car that is in our travel policy. So we're going to say we want to pick it up at CVG. If you wanted to return the car to a different location, you can select that box as well and say which location you're going to drop it off at. Again, similar to any type of card place that you would like to rent from. And right now what we have is, our preferred vendor is National Enterprise. That's where we get some rebates and things at the towards the end of the year, depending on how much we spend through National and Enterprise. We also get a slightly better rate if you were just coming off the street. Now, again, right now what we have is it's sorted by policy most compliant. I'm going to sort it by policy least compliant. Oh. maybe not. Let's select a full-size car. Basically what I want to be able to show is, here's this exception, this little yellow caution sign that, you know, this is breaking one or more of our travel rules, and by choosing this, it's just going to log an exception. You very well could need a full-size car for whatever reason. You're traveling with 3 or 4 other people, so you need room for those three or four people and luggage, or you're carrying supplies or samples or whatever it is. There is it's not stopping you from booking it. It's just saying that our travel policy is an economy car. And again, it'll pull up this travel policy violation. You'll select Y, and you'll hit save. And then it comes to your reserve, review and reserve, just to verify that, you know, this is what you want to do. And you're going to hit reserve the car and continue. And then lastly, hotel. You can select by airport, by location, address, or a zip code. We'll just do airport here. And it's going to go out and search, and it'll provide you with the your various options that you can choose from. And right now, we don't have any type of rules or exceptions in place for hotels. Once we get a little bit more experience within Concur and seeing what people are booking and things of that nature, we'll go in and do some more market-driven exceptions. So, you know, say we want to, on average, have a hotel price be $150. I'm only throwing that out there because that's the top on the list. Well, a $150 hotel in Cincinnati is not the same value that it is, say, in New York City or Dallas or San Francisco or some of your more pricier cities. So at some point in time, we'll put in some exception reporting in there to basically say, you know, hey, you know, even though, you know, it's a lot more expensive in New York City, $150 room in New York City or in Cincinnati is really $200 or $300 in New York City, or whatever the comparable comp is. So right now, that's not the case. So again, all you're going to do is click View Rooms, select the type of room that you're going to want to stay in, and again, review and reserve, and choose your credit card and your method of payment. Any questions on travel? On how to book travel?
I have one.
Yep.
Is there any way to book through sites like Airbnb for your hotel?
Yes, you can. Right now, we're not saying you have to use AAA. For right now, what we're doing is we're trying to crawl before we walk and run. There are other apps and programs that will allow you to take those reservations, whether it's from the one that you mentioned, hotels.com, you know, whatever reservation method you choose, and then be able to import that information into Concur. That way that, one, you have that information in one spot, and then also we can see, you know, people's booking habits, and you know, and again, the effort is to ultimately save money. So AAA will then be able to use that data and that information to sit there and go out to vendors. So right now, we're not saying you have to use AAA. So you can continue to book however you'd like, with the goal of eventually kind of moving business to AAA. That way they can provide some of those services that we described earlier.
Okay, thanks.
For the airlines, does it only do the major carriers, or does it do everybody like Frontier and Southwest, JetBlue?
Let's see here. It should. I mean, I know Southwest. I've used Southwest. It's let's see here. Let's try FW2. Let's say SFO. So that's a big Southwest leg. That's funny. Okay, stop. Hold on. Looks like I locked it up. But to answer your question, yes, there's options for Southwest, Frontier. If it is a low-cost option or any option, it will provide that. But for right now, it looks like my session just ended, or just locked up. All right, I'm gonna try ending this session to see if all right, let's do this a different way here. All right. Any more questions on travel?
We have a question. Can you input a specific hotel that you're normally going to?
It's a very good question. I've never done a search like that, but if we look at, yeah, you can put the address in. You can also put in, I believe, hotels containing, say, the word Marriott or DoubleTree, things of that nature.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Does this also take into account the hotels that the company already has deals with for, like, if I'm traveling to one of the other locations and we have a deal with the hotel near there, like here in Tip City, we got a deal with the local Hilton. Does it automatically pull in then the company pricing, or do I have to like further do something to do that?
Yeah, when we set everything up, Shauna provided us with the various hotels that we have contract rates with, and Concur and AAA loaded those into the system. But I will confirm that though, just to make sure. But that's what was supposed to happen when we implemented back in October. All right, I'm gonna make that note. All right, any other questions on travel? Okay, so let's jump right into expense. How do we create an expense report? There's a couple different ways of doing creating an expense report. We'll start off based on our homepage. From here, you can hover over the plus sign. You can say to start a new report, or you can go to expense up here at the top on your toolbar, and you can start a new expense report. When you key into the expense tab, what it's going to provide you is any receipts that you've already sent to Concur. So what I've done prior to this meeting was I sent a couple of PDF documents and a PNG file. It can accept JPEG files, things of that nature. But I was able to send to receipts@concur.com a file that would go into my profile as an available receipt. That's where, when in our profile, where we did the email verification, this is what the email verification is for. It allows you to send from multiple email addresses that you've verified and you've provided for your profile, to where you can send receipts to receipts@concur.com to be available when you come in to do your expense reports. If you had a company card and you had the company card that you're responsible for, it's you're responsible for either reconciling or it's your personal company card. If there's any charges that are on those cards, those would show up here. I don't have any charges. I haven't used my credit card in quite some time, but that's where these things would show up. They would show up as as a PNC Visa symbol as a charge card. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new report. And we've got the report name. Just name it something that you or somebody else would understand what the report name is. I'm just going to do test. Business purpose, whether it's training or a trip to Home Depot or whatever the business purpose is, you put in the business purpose. Again, I think I've mentioned it already before, but anytime you see the red bold line on the left-hand side of a field, that's a required field. The comment field is not required. This also will provide you and kind of tell you, here's what your default accounting is. So for myself, my default department is finance. For LM Farms, I'm in the LM Farms entity, and my location / brand is the corporate ledger within LM Farms. And you're going to hit next. And when you hit next, it kind of brings you up with your blank expense report. So how do we get started with doing an expense report? First thing you're going to do is you're going to figure out what type of expense it is. So we're going to do an airfare expense. It'll put your most recently used expense types up here on the top. And then the rest of the expense types, which are grouped by travel expenses, transportation, meals, entertainment, so on and so forth. If you see something, if you don't see something that kind of matches what type of expense that you're trying to submit for, again, shoot me a note, shoot Jason a note, saying, hey, I've got this expense. It doesn't fall into, safety equipment or social media or social committee events, so on and so forth. We've got the ability to create additional expense types, get them coded from an accounting standpoint to where it goes to the correct general ledger, and then make that available for use. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to start with an airfare expense. So we're going to click airfare. And it brings up the template for the airfare. You're going to select your transaction date, which is going to be your receipt date. If someone can mute the hit the mute button. So you're going to hit this, select the transaction date that the transaction was transacted, not necessarily your flight date. This is the transaction date that shows up on your receipt. Again, you're going to put your business purpose, and this will be the last time you put your business purpose in because it'll carry it forward for the rest of the time. You can put your ticket number in, not required, but again, another piece of information that could be valuable in the future. You're going to select your vendor. Someone had the question about, other airlines and stuff like that. Here's a bunch of other airlines or carriers that you can that's available. Your travel service code says coach. You put in the city of purchase. For everybody that does not have a credit card, your payment type is going to be out of pocket. I have the ability to put in pending card transactions if I choose to do so. This allows me to kind of start an expense report and then wait for that card transaction to come through to where I can match the expense type together with the card transaction. But 95% of the people out there that are on this call, their payment type is going to be out of pocket. Again, out of pocket is for you, whether you paid for it by credit card, whether you paid for it by cash, coin, PayPal, however you paid for it, it's out of pocket to you. So your payment type is out of pocket. We're going to say that the value is $1,000. Then the other area that we put in for LM Farms, and this is stuff that can be used for the rest of the groups, is if you want to add some customers to this customer list, we thought it would be prudent to track expenses. If Jeff Kunovic with LM Farms is traveling for a meeting with Home Depot, and he can then sit there and say, well, this airline ticket is for my trip down to Atlanta to go visit with Home Depot. Again, more data points to where we can run reports and information to kind of see, okay, you know, we spent $10,000 on travel for Home Depot and we didn't get any new business. You know, where did we go wrong? Or, you know, are we spending too much travel on a certain customer? That's where we can kind of, you know, as people add more data and more data points as we're doing our expense reports, we can track that information and hopefully grow the business and help the business grow. So we're going to hit save. And what that'll do is that'll bring this expense line over to the left-hand side of the expense report. One thing you'll see is this little exclamation point yellow. If you hover over it, it's saying a receipt image is required. So for every line item on your expense report, except for mileage, tolls, and tips, it will require a receipt. So how do we get receipts onto this line item? There's a couple of different ways. First thing what we're going to look at is over here in the upper right-hand corner, there's this little section called Available Receipts. I'm going to click on that. And what that does is that brings up the receipts that I've sent to receipts@concur.com. And again, it's from your verified email address that you did in your profile. So if I'm you know, booking an airfare and I got you know, I get a PDF from Delta or a PDF from AAA or whatever booking site that I get it from. I have a PDF, I have a JPEG, whatever type of file. I'm hitting an email off to receipts@concur.com. Give it about 5 minutes and your receipt will be available for you to use on your expense report. So you can view the receipts over here by just simply hitting the magnifying glass. If you need to go back, you hit back to gallery. You can also delete the receipt. You can say, you know what, oops, that's really a personal receipt, or you know what, I hit the email, I sent it twice. But in order to attach the receipt, you simply drag and drop onto your expense line. The receipt's removed from your gallery, and now that exclamation point that was yellow is now a blue check mark. If you hover on top of it, now it has your receipt that you attached. Let's detach this receipt. Say we made a mistake. As you can see, I put a Lowe's receipt with an airfare for Delta. So I'm going to detach this receipt from the entry. And what it's going to do is it's going to put that receipt back into your gallery and change the message over here to saying a receipt's required. So again, find the right receipt, you can drag and drop it. The other method of getting a receipt onto your expense line is, even before you hit save, there is the ability to click attach receipt. You can click attach receipt. It'll show you your available receipts that are in your gallery, or say you don't feel like emailing the stuff and you want to keep it on your desktop, you can click browse, go to where your receipts are, double click on the file and hit attach. So now we've got that receipt that was on my computer and on our network that I attached to the expense line. Does that make sense? Okay. The other ways of getting receipts into your available receipts area, and again, we'll get into that here in just a little bit, is through Concur Mobile and through Expenseit, which are mobile apps. With Concur Mobile, you can sit there and take a picture and immediately goes right to your available receipts. So I use Concur now for about 8 years. And when I was traveling a lot and I was going out to eat, I sit there and take a picture of the receipt and I throw the receipt in the trash. That way I didn't have the piece of paper hanging around. I was that comfortable with being able to take that picture with Concur Mobile. It goes in here to my receipt gallery, or take a picture of it and send an email. I was comfortable that Concur was going to take care of it and manage all my receipts. The next question that somebody had earlier was, how do I allocate between brands or locations? So to do that, you're going to click allocate on the expense line. What that's going to do is that's going to bring up an allocations screen. This is where you can add a new allocation. You can allocate a number of different times, number of different levels, different percentages. Yeah. And as you add and select and deselect allocations, right now it's basically dividing by however many allocations you have selected. But you can go in here and say, you know what, this was a $1,000 ticket. I went to Atlanta, and you know what, 75% of the time I was there for Home Depot, and 20% of the time I was there for some other customer. But what you can do is you can see here that by doing 75 and 50, it's going to say that you've got too much allocated. So we're going to move this down to 25%. All right. So now the question is where do I want to book this? What, is it still within the same brand and I just need to change the department? Or in this case, I have the ability to charge a completely different entity. So if you're in the case where, here's a prime example of between LM Farms and Lone Star. We've got Jeff Kunovic and Josh and a couple of the people that work for LM Farms that are managing and helping and working with Lone Star. They can go in here and they can actually select a different entity. They can then sit there and say, okay, I want it to go to admin as my department. And for this example, Lone Star only has one location or brand, and they have one entity. For the GA people that are on the call, you'll have a list of the various brands, whether it's Paragon, Bits and Pieces, you name it. You'll have that selection to select a different brand within these drop-down boxes. For myself, since this is my profile, I don't have access to those departments under my profile. But when you go to do your allocations, when you start dropping down these boxes, you'll see all the various departments, locations, / brands, and the entities. So for myself, I can go through and say, you know what, I actually did something for customer service. So we'll find customer service or marketing, or we'll say, I did something for purchasing. And was it specific to a location? One of our locations, either Michigan, North Carolina, Oklahoma, or Tennessee. For GA, this is where you'll see the various brand numbers and the names that you can select. And all you're going to do once you've got your allocations done, hey, I need to make sure I charge the right location or brand or entity. You're going to hit save. And you're going to hit done. So now what that's done is now it's given us another little symbol here. And that symbol is the allocations. And if you hover over it, it'll tell you what your allocations are. And we'll hit save. Any questions on allocations? And again, as you guys run through instances where, you know what, I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. Myself and Jason are available to help as people kind of get spun up and learning the system. So, and also this training has been recorded as well, to where you'll have some references as well. If there's no other questions on airfare, I'm going to move on to a couple other expense types to kind of show you some differences and some requirements for some of these expense types. The next one is hotel. Now we're going to select our vendor. We're going to put $900. And as you can see, as we start to fill out this expense type and this expense line for this new expense, there's no save button. Because with hotels, we need to itemize our hotel receipts. And again, this will, when we start going through itemizations, the whole reason for an itemization is so we can start to get down to true room rates. That way, as we get experience and as people are putting in expense reports through Concur, we can then sit there and run data to say, okay, our average room rate across the board is $200 or $150 or whatever it is. We want to be able to get down to the actual room rate. Because if you sit there, as most of your people that travel, when you get your hotel folio, you've got not only is your room rate in there, but you've got, you know, this tax and that tax. You got 4 or 5 different taxes, depending on where you're staying at, that go into the cost of your stay. What you're going to do is you're going to select your check-in date. Actually, we're going to do 17th through the 20th. And we'll do the 19th. It calculates the number of nights that you've stayed. We're going to put a room rate of $300. In this section right here, it's reoccurring charges that are each night. So as you're looking at your hotel folio, you're going to put in whatever is on there for each night. We had the local tax, we had this other tax, and another tax. And then for whatever reason, we got charged for internet each night as well. So we're going to come down to communications, and we're going to say we got charged $10 a night for internet. And we're going to hit save. So what that does is it says, okay, for all your nightly expenses, you itemize $662. But you said your bill was $900, which basically leaves $238 worth of non-nightly expenses that need to be itemized. So here's where you'll sit there and select another expense type, and we're just going to say it was an individual meal. We're going to say what date, and again, we're looking at our hotel receipt or hotel folio, and says we had a meal downstairs at the hotel bar or the hotel restaurant on the 18th. And it was for $238. Then we're going to hit save. And once you have fully itemized your hotel line item, it will bring it over here to the left-hand side. And again, if you need to allocate, you're going to double click on the hotel. You're going to double click on the shoot, where'd it go? It was, you can double click on the lines that you want to allocate. Okay. And you're going to hit the allocate button. It'll bring up that allocation line or that allocation screen, and you can allocate from there. The only thing we need to do here now is attach a receipt. So let's just drag and drop a receipt over here. So now we have a receipt attached to our hotel. There's no allocations. If we wanted to pull the receipt up, we can pull the receipt up. Any questions on hotel?
Yes, I have a question. How do you deal with foreign currency?
Foreign currency, good question. Let's do another expense type here. We'll just do an individual meal here. So there's the currency right here. You can select, say it's euro, and well, it didn't select it. Hold on. Where's our euro? The rate is based on what the current rate is out within Concur. They update their rates on a daily basis. Now, if you find that you've done a credit card charge on your personal card and you get your statement back and say, for example, the rate's at, instead of 1.17, it was 1.18 that got charged, you can update the rate as well. But if you just have straight amounts, we'll just say 10 euro, it will convert it to the $11.78 US dollars. But again, if say the rate was 1.2, you can change it to 1.2 and it'll update your amount in US dollars. So when you get reimbursed, you'll get reimbursed in US dollars.
Is there any place for transaction fees?
Let me see here. Let's hit save here. I do not see that we have an expense type set up for transaction fees, but I can definitely set that up. Yep. So I'll get a new expense type set up for transaction fees for foreign currency. So we had our individual meal, and for whatever reason, we didn't take a picture of our receipt, we lost our receipt, whatever it is. But every expense line requires a receipt. We do have the ability to attach a receipt affidavit. In order to do that, we're going to select this expense, and we're going to go up here to receipts. And we're going to select missing receipt affidavit. And what this is going to do is this is going to say a receipt is required for this expense. If you're missing your receipt, please use the missing receipt affidavit. Basically what it's saying is you certify that you lost your receipt and this is a valid business expense. And you're going to select the line items that you want to attach that to, and you hit accept and create. And what that does is when we start running reports, and once we start getting a lot of data, we can see people who are habitually saying, I lost my receipt, I lost my receipt. You know, that excuse will only go so far. At some point in time, we've got to do what we're supposed to do and make sure we're attaching receipts to our expense lines. But again, you hover over it, it shows here's your missing receipt affidavit. The other thing is if you did not have a receipt attached, when you try to hit submit expense report, it's going to stop you and say you don't have all your receipts attached, and it won't let you submit anyway. So you either have to have a receipt or you have to have a missing receipt affidavit. So let's do a couple other expense types that I want to run through. These next couple expense types are going to get into attendee tracking. So let's jump into entertainment for staff. We've got two entertainment expense types. One is entertainment for client, and one is an entertainment for staff. So this is where, you know, say I wanted to take out, you know, a group of employees for a business lunch and everything. So I'm going to select entertainment staff, and I'm going to switch this back to US dollars. So we went to BW3s, and it was $100. So as you can see here, the expense template's just a hair different from the airfare in the hotel. Now we have this attendee section down here. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to add attendees. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do an advanced search for an attendee. Employees are already in the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to say employee. And I'm going to do a search for Laura here. So Laura is an employee. She's a user in Concur. So I'm going to select her and add her as an attendee. So we're going to click Add to Expense. And if I close out of this, what you'll see now is Laura is now an attendee on this expense line. And all it's doing is saying 50-50. $50 of the expense was attributed to her and 50 to myself. Say we need to add another attendee, but they're an attendee that, let's do this. Let's say an employee. We're going to do a search for an employee, and we're going to say Jackson. No, we have a Francis Jackson. That's funny. We'll just put some letters in here. So basically, I wanted to show where it's going to basically show there's no such person, no employee that has this last name or that part of this last name. So they must be an employee. We know they're an employee because they went out to lunch with us, but we want to add them as an attendee. So we're going to say new attendee. And it's saying the attendee type is employee that's not in Concur, or we can add a business guest, whether it's somebody, a purchasing agent for a customer of ours, whether it's whatever the business guest is. You can also put a spouse or a partner in there as well. But you're just going to, again, just fill this out. So test 3. Fill out their last name, their first name, and the attendee title. Be specific on the attendee titles. That way we can kind of see, are we taking purchasing groups out more? Are we taking, things of that nature. That way, again, as we start looking at data, as far as our spending is going, we can then kind of pinpoint, okay, is our spend, our dollar spend really going where it needs to go? Should we really be entertaining purchasing groups, or should we be entertaining somebody else if entertaining is the method that we want to use to sell? So be specific in your attendee titles. And you can keep adding attendees if you need to. And again, now it's taken the $100 and divided by 3. Now, so this is just for employees and employees that are not in Concur. It will not allow you to attach a business guest to this expense type. We want to kind of keep this kind of pure, and this is the money we're spending on, taking our staff out to lunch, business lunches, or what have you. But we're going to hit save. We could allocate if we needed to allocate. And then the other one I want to show is entertainment clients. Same template, but the only difference is you'll actually be able to attach attendees that are business guests. Vendor name, we'll say, is Olive Garden. And say, for instance, we're going to Olive Garden and we're going to have, we bought, basically a spread, right? We said, okay, we're just going to have $200, and we invited, a number of people. So we're going to sit there and we're going to start adding attendees. We're going to do an advanced search. We're going to select business guest. We can go into our favorites and say, okay, here's the people that we've added and people that we've that are our favorites that we've used. Any type of recently used. And then if you have an attendee group that you want to create, never really seen attendee groups used just because not a whole lot of people are doing the same regular attendee groups for entertainment. I'm gonna go to favorites and I'm gonna select this buyer, and which is a business guest. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. I'm gonna hit Judy, a couple other people, and we're gonna add it to the expense. So it added the 3 other people that I said to add. And just, again, it divided it by the number of attendees. Now, say, for example, this is, again, you invited 5 people, only 4 showed up. You can then put a no-show as a no-show for that event. That way, it doesn't look like if you spent $200 on 4 people. In reality, the plan was you spent $200 on 5 people. So it takes that $200 and divide it by 5 instead of dividing it by 4, just to attribute a dollar value to the people that you're entertaining. Any questions on attendees and entertainment clients, entertainment staff? If you're just doing individual meals, there's no requirement for attendees. It's, here's my individual meal. It's me. I went out to, I was traveling. I went out to lunch, went to the hotel restaurant, didn't put it on my hotel bill, just paid it out of pocket on my credit card. No attendees are required. The only attendees that are required are on entertainment clients and entertainment staff. Any questions on entertainment and attendees? Okay. The next expense type that I want to go over is personal car mileage. This will be the last expense type that I go over. The rest of them are all pretty straightforward, except for the ones I just kind of showed where, as far as hotel, you have to itemize, entertainment staff and client, adding attendees. But personal car mileage does not require a receipt. You can do it a couple of different ways. You can sit there and put in a location, say Indiana to Fairfield. Put the distance, 21 miles. It will calculate based on the rate that's in our policy, and you hit save. Or you can do it a little bit differently. You can use Google Maps and click mileage calculator. So here you put in your your waypoints in. You say I went from the Mary Avenue location over to the DC over in Fairfield. Looks like it gives you the suggested routes. This one's taking me 275 through into Fairfield, or you can select different routes and it'll adjust accordingly. You can then say, you know what, I had to go there and drop something off. I had to come back out to Lawrenceburg, and you can sit there and make it a round trip. You make it a round trip, it will make it a round trip for you. You're going to add mileage to the expense. So it gave me 60 miles at the rate, so $30. And as you can see with the personal car mileage, it's not requiring, you don't see this little yellow receipt image required message. Those expense types, personal car mileage, tolls, and tips, do not require that requirement. So let's say we're ready to submit the expense report. We're going to go ahead and click Submit Report. We think we've got all of our receipts attached, everything's done. So we're going to hit Submit. And it's going to say, hey, you still have receipts for here. You're missing those receipts. But say you want to ignore that and you want to say Accept and Submit. It'll sit there and give you this red exclamation message. If you see a red exclamation message, that's a hard stop. It's not going to let you submit this report. We're going to click OK. And now this box up here called Exceptions pops up. It's saying upload your receipts to the expense line using the attached receipt image in order for the red flag to be reevaluated. You'll need to click the Submit link again. So let's go ahead and drag this other receipt over. As you can see, it cleared the yellow receipt message here, but it still kept the exclamation point. Let's go ahead and hit submit again, and you'll see that that one line now does not have the red exclamation point. Again, we'll ignore the message saying, hey, you guys need to attach the receipt. So now, all we see is the one line. And then it'll keep going through that until you have everything properly documented and everything's ready to go. So we're going to, we'll just say we lost this receipt. And we're gonna attach that missing receipt affidavit. And we're gonna hit submit. And we hit submit this time, since we have all the receipts attached, it now is giving us a final review. Basically saying that you're certifying that this is accurate, it's all business expense, et cetera, et cetera. You're gonna click accept and submit. The next screen that it shows you is, basically it's a report header. Basically saying this is how much you've reported, this is how much is due to you. We're gonna hit close. For now, I've got a report out there that is submitting and pending approval for $2,252.50. Now let's say I hit submit, and I was like, oops. As soon as I hit submit, I remembered that I either forgot something or I made a mistake. You simply double click on that expense report and you hit the recall button. That takes that expense report out of whatever approval queue that it's in. And now it's available to modify. Does that make sense? Any questions? Okay. I'm gonna switch back over to our little PowerPoint presentation because I want to show you guys Concur Mobile and expense it. So let's bring this back over. Oh, come on. Oh, actually, I need to go through this as well. Concur audit. Let me start the slideshow again. So when you hit that submit button, the first step that the expense report takes is it goes to Concur audit. Concur audit is a function that comes with Concur where 100% of our expense reports will go through this audit. Concur audit has 72 business hours to perform their audit. And within the audit, what they're looking for is they're doing a 100% receipt audit. So they're taking a look at the receipts that you're attaching to your expense lines. They're verifying dates and amounts, and et cetera. Everything that's on the receipt, they're verifying that to what you're submitting. So if you have a receipt for $10 for Lowe's and you accidentally put $10.01, Concur is going to kick that back and say, this receipt does not match with that line item. It's also going to say, you know what, you did a line item for $10 to Lowe's, but you submitted a $10 for Home Depot receipt. It's going to kick it back and it's going to say, sorry, this receipt does not match with this line because you said it in Concur that it was Lowe's, but the receipt says Home Depot. Those are they'll send the report back, and an email will come to your email, assuming that you've selected to receive emails for reports that are coming back. Within that email, it will tell you this line, this amount, this is what's wrong. The next audit that they're doing is 100% policy audit based on our current T&E policy. I'm going to bring this. I must have closed it down. I'm sorry. Part of the welcome package, I'll have the Concur audit program. But what they're looking for there is they're making sure that people aren't putting incidental type stuff on there, like movies from a hotel room, laundry when you don't stay more than, I think it's 7 days on a business trip. things of that nature. It's also looking for detailed receipts on your meals, and not just the summary credit card receipt. Receipt. They're looking for you had the prime rib, a beer, and dessert. That's what they're going to be looking for. They're looking for the detailed receipt. If they don't see the detailed receipt, they're going to kick it back. But I will send you the audit program, and that way you can be aware of what the Concur audit's actually doing. And again, that allows us to when it gets to the manager has some confidence that, okay, an initial audit's actually been done. It's passed through receipt audit and a policy audit. So once Concur audit does their approval, it will go to the manager. The manager will then review and they will approve it. And then it'll go to accounting for review. At that point in time, this report's already gone through Concur audit for approval. The managers approve it. So accounting is kind of going and basically doing spot audits. Again, they're trying to, audit the auditor basically to make sure Concur audit's doing what they say they're supposed to do. So they're going to go through and do some spot audits to kind of verify that, everything's within policy, we've got the right receipts, and they're going to hit approve. And then it'll go off to payment processing. We'll get into the payment dates here in just a little bit, but that's going to be the workflow as far as how your report kind of flows. Now, at any given point in time, if say it gets through Concur audit and then your manager gets it and the manager kicks it back and says, hey, I don't agree with this or something, they basically reject it for whatever reason. It will then, once you submit it, it will then go again through Concur audit again and the process starts over. Any questions on Concur audit? Okay. Now I'm going to show you a Concur mobile video here. Kind of, since it's a live system, I can't really show you, and I don't have an emulator for my phone. I can only show you a video, but I can also describe how Concur mobile works. So here's about a 1-minute video on Concur mobile.
Concur makes business travel easy. Using Concur mobile makes it even easier. With the features you need in the palm of your hand, you'll have the power of Concur with you, wherever you are. With Concur mobile, you don't have to worry when your hotel is overbooked. Simply search for a new hotel using text search, or take advantage of voice recognition to book by voice. Now you can make changes to your trip quickly and easily, while keeping those in your organization and at your CMC informed of your location in case of emergency. Since Concur mobile is tied in with Concur travel, you can use your loyalty program discount set up in Concur to find the best rate and quickly book in policy. And with one-click approval from your travel and expense approver, you don't need to worry about losing the great rate you found. Use Concur mobile to keep track of receipts and expenses while on the go. No matter the transaction type, cash or credit, simply snap a photo of your receipt and move on with your trip. Once your trip is complete, simply attach the receipt snapshot and expenses to the trip's expense report and click Submit. Approvers can quickly review the report and click Approve. Concur expense takes care of the rest, so you can be reimbursed quickly. Try Concur mobile on your next trip and see how much easier your business travel can be.
So that was Concur mobile. So I've used, like I mentioned earlier, I've used Concur for about 8 years, and I've used Concur mobile for just as long. So nice thing about Concur mobile, as they kind of showed you, is it's on your phone. It's an app on your phone. You take a picture of your receipt, and like I said, you move on. Literally, I take a picture of the receipt. I leave the receipt a lot of times just sitting at the table, or I sit there and I crumble it up and throw it in the trash can. And then what's also nice about Concur mobile is you can start your expense report pretty much right then and there. Within the welcome package, I'll have a mobile guide. That way you can kind of go through and read up on how to use Concur mobile to its fullest. But you can start expense reports. From an approver standpoint, I know Niles, he had Concur mobile on his phone to approve Jeff Kunovik's expense reports. He's like, I love it. I can sit there, waiting for a flight or, wherever I'm at, and I can actually sit there and view his expense reports, and I can actually approve them right from my mobile phone. So Concur mobile is the first step in kind of saving some time. The big thing with Concur mobile is being able to take pictures of those receipts and just kind of moving on. That way those receipts then are now in that available receipt gallery that I showed you earlier when we were doing our expense report. So Concur Mobile, we kind of just said it, you can capture receipts with your smartphone or your tablet. You can create the expense reports. You can approve and reject expense reports as an expense approver. So that's Concur Mobile. The next app, which is pretty powerful, is Expenseit. I'll do, again, another quick video on this one, but in a nutshell, Expenseit is Concur Mobile on steroids. This is where when you take a picture of your receipt, Expenseit will actually analyze the receipt and then create your line items that you can export into Concur Expense, to where when you take a picture of a receipt, it's using technology basically to read the receipt, to basically pick off the vendor, pick off the date, the amounts, so on and so forth. That way, you basically, Expenseit basically gets you to about the 5 or 10 yard line as far as filling out that expense line. You just have to go in and take it over that next 5 or 10 yards to kind of modify, maybe an amount, maybe it doesn't read the receipt as well, and it says 55 cents instead of 56 cents type thing. But I use this as well. Again, it saves a lot of keystrokes at the end of the day. So here's this video real quick, just kind of give you an idea of what Expenseit can do.
Expense reporting is about to get a whole lot easier for everyone. Thanks to Expenseit from Concur, the auto-magical expense app that creates benefits for both you and your team by working seamlessly with Concur to turn receipts into reports in a snap. Gone are the days of endless hours entering receipts one by one, following up with employees about lost receipts, or trying to create a month-end accrual without any visibility into prior spend. With Expenseit, your team can now quickly capture receipts on the go, whether grabbing a coffee at the airport, wining and dining clients, or checking out of their hotel. They just tap to snap a photo or send a digital receipt to receipt@expenseit.com. No matter how they capture it, Expenseit analyzes the receipt within minutes and double checks for accuracy. For hotel bills like this one, it even itemizes line by line, so room fees, taxes, and entertainment charges are listed separately in Concur to ensure policy compliance. Now they just review, edit if needed, and then tap export. Then, like magic, it appears in Concur Expense, where it can be assigned to any Concur Expense report. Expenseit does things no other app can, like match expense types to Concur Expense categories, and reconcile with credit card charges to avoid duplication. Speaking of credit cards,
So that's Expenseit. One of the nice things about Expenseit, like I said, is one, it saves you a lot of keystrokes, but the one example that they just provided was your hotel receipts. I've tested it a bunch of different times. I've used it a bunch of different times to where I take a picture of that hotel folio and it will actually itemize those nightly expenses, the ones that we had to individually itemize. It will actually do it for you. So it's pretty slick. Is it perfect? By no means it's not perfect, but it will, again, it'll get you 95 to 90% of the way there on that expense line. It'll already have the receipt attached to that expense line, and you just have to clean it up a little bit. And again, all of those, whether it's Concur Mobile or Expenseit, those are all available on the various app stores, whether it's iTunes, the Android Google stores, the Windows stores, etc. So download them. Your username and your password will be the same to get into those apps that it will be when you log into the concurrsolutions.com to get into the actual solution on the web. Any questions on mobile tools? Okay. Lastly, we'll get into a couple slides, kind of talking about kind of the payment cycle and kind of an overview of the T&E policy, which again, I'll attach to the welcome email as a refresher if you're not aware of the T&E policy. And then I'll go over some tips and tricks with Concur. Payments of expense reports. So we have a weekly reimbursement schedule. In the past, I believe it was only once a week when we were doing expense reimbursements, and that was, again, a paper check. Some instances there were some ACHs or electronic payments being done, but for the most part, I believe it was paper checks. Again, now everything will be done electronically. There will be no more paper checks, but by being able to do this electronically, we can run this on a couple different cycles. So payments will be processed on Tuesdays and Fridays. So if your report is approved by your manager by Monday or Thursday by 3 p.m., Amanda and her group will be reviewing expense reports on a regular basis, and we'll basically go through those that have been approved by the managers will get approved, and then we'll be on that nightly Tuesday or Friday run. Once Amanda and her group have approved the expense reports, it'll take between 2 to 3 business days, depending on your financial institution, for that payment to hit your bank account. A couple of things that I want to kind of go over as far as the PNC cards. So there's a handful of people out there that have some PNC cards that'll be tied to their profiles. And there will also be a handful of people that will be responsible for reconciling a departmental card. Excuse me. For the cards, we're asking that an individual or expense report be done on a monthly basis for the PNC cards. That way they can tie to the credit card statements. So Jason will be sending out some information here in the near future for people to be basically empower themselves to go out and get their own PNC statements for the cards that they're responsible for. I know currently Amanda's group, they spend a lot of time downloading and sending out statements. We kind of piloted the concept of people pulling their own statements down for the cards they're responsible for Ellen Farms, and it's worked flawlessly for the past 2 or 3 months. So Jason will be sending that information out here in the very near future. But to reiterate, what we're asking is only one expense report be generated for those cards each month. That way it ties to the credit card statement. Once Jason kind of gets everything kind of linked up and ready to go for the PNC statements, I'll send out another meeting invite to kind of go over again the process for the PNC cards, just to kind of show and just kind of reinforce this concept of one expense report each month. And it'll be a smaller group, and it will take a fraction of the time that this is taking. If you have any concerns, we've got, I forgot to put the other email address up here, but we do have a LM Farms Concur at gardensalive.com email for questions. And I'll also put the email for GA in the welcome email for if you have any questions. This is an email box that Amanda and her group are monitoring. So if you have any questions on, hey, why is my expense report not getting paid? She'll take a look at it and, you know, she'll respond or get with me to see what's going on with that expense report. Any questions on payments of expense reports? Okay. Book your travel online with AAA. We're trying to, like I said, as of right now, we're not requiring it, but we're trying to steer people to book through AAA. One of the main reasons is that we need to collect that data in order to go out to the vendors to request discounts and negotiate rates. And in order to do that, we need to have that go through Concur and or AAA. So the other reason for going through AAA is for emergency purposes. So if we have people that are booking through AAA, they would have known, you know, Sunday in Atlanta, that if you had a flight at 3 o'clock, they would have called or sent you a message saying, hey, power's out, everything's shut down, don't go to the airport. Or if there, for God forbid, there's a, you know, an emergency or some type of tragedy that happens, you know, they know, hey, you had a ticket on this flight, or you were in this city. Back when the Boston Marathon bombing happened, my boss was actually in Boston, about 3 blocks away from where it happened. I got an email and I got a phone call within minutes after it happened saying, hey, and it was automated, but it said, hey, you know, this person's here, you may want to check on them. So again, you know, it was more for a security, you know, safety type of concern. All expense line items must have a receipt regardless of the amount. Again, like I said, it excludes mileage, tolls, tips. Meals and entertainment expense types must have a detailed receipt submitted, not just the summary credit card receipt. It's required that we itemize the hotel expenses. We need to make sure we're listing the guests accordingly. when using the entertainment client or entertainment staff expense types. The next line, expense lines that are over 45 days old will not be reimbursed. So if you've got an expense that is 45 days old, it will not get reimbursed. That's one of the items in our expense policy. And the system will not allow you to submit that expense report with an expense over 45 days. Submit your expenses at least twice a month for out-of-pocket spending. And then we also mentioned once a month for the company cards. This just allows us, one, from a cash flows perspective, and also from a financial perspective, to know that our financial statements are stated correctly. Lastly, paper expense reports will not be accepted after Wednesday, January the 10th. At that point in time, Amanda and her group will kick those expense reports back and basically make people do them in Concur. Any questions? Okay. And then the last thing that I have here is just some Concur tips and tricks that I've come up with over the many years of using Concur. Utilize your credit card feeds. Again, this is going to be an isolated group of people that have credit cards tied to their profiles, and also the people that are responsible for the departmental cards. Do not create expense report lines for things that have been charged on the company card. Basically, you risk the possibility of double submission. And the expense report will not tied to the statement, which is what we're after, is that one expense report each month that's tied to that card statement. That way we know we've captured everything correctly. Another tip that I've given out before and people have embraced is open a new personal bank account just for T&E activity and only use one credit card for travel activity. The separate account number will help you reconcile the personal credit card that you've designated to be your company travel card. I've had a number of times where people have come to me and say, hey, I didn't get reimbursed for this, and either myself or somebody on my team have to go through and basically reconcile their credit card for them, and come to find out that they had already submitted and gotten paid for it. So this will help, basically reconcile on your own side, your T&E stuff. Utilize the mobile options. I can't say this enough that, utilizing these tools will shrink the time you spend doing expense reports significantly, almost cutting it in half. Just because, again, you're not tracking, making sure you've got certain receipts, because you're taking pictures of them. If you're using any expensive tool, you're saving keystrokes, things of that nature. One thing I will add to this is, as far as receipts go, is if you decide that you want to just scan your receipts to a PDF, please scan one receipt to a PDF document. If you start mixing and basically playing Tetris on a piece of paper to scan receipts and attach them to expense lines, and you use that same file 2 or 3 times, it will confuse Concur Audit, and they will kick it back to you saying, hey, I couldn't find it. It wasn't on this piece of paper. Well, in reality, it was upside down, left to right, or whatever orientation it was. So just make sure it's, one receipt, and it's typically, profile orientation is the best way, because that way they can read it right when they pull it up. Like I said, utilize Receipt Store and subscribe to e-receipts. Know who you're entertaining, and then submit your reports to be paid the following week on a Wednesday. Again, if you submit it on a Wednesday, Concur has to do the policy audit, which takes about, that has up to 72 hours to complete. It has to go to your manager, and then ultimately it has to go to accounting. So if you submit on a Wednesday, by that timing, it should get paid on that Tuesday. Add 3 to 5 business days, for your bank institution to accept the payment. And that's all I have today. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. Be on the lookout for an email from me. It'll have all the information on how to log into concursolutions.com. It will have this slideshow. It will have the audit program. and a couple other pieces of information to get you guys started on Concur. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me as you guys are starting to spin up. And again, just because we gave the date of January the 10th, 2018, does not mean that you can't start using Concur once you get that welcome email and you get logged in. Get your profile updated. You can start submitting expense reports pretty much immediately. So if nobody has any questions, I will let everybody go. Thank you.